In the last video, I did a lot of whining and moaning about the condition of these quarter panels and said, I'm going to just replace them both, and uh, complained about how much effort that was going to be. So I posted some pictures on a Facebook group or two that had to do with LeManses and GTOs. And I got a resounding set of replies saying, if it's rust free, just do the body work and don't remove perfectly good metal and replace it with cheap Chinese poorly formed metal. So that's what I'm doing. I canceled my order with Summit, and I will proceed in the next couple of videos with straightening and doing the body work necessary to reuse the existing quarter panels. Last night, I had the capable help from Henry and put the doors back on the car. And we did that so that we could check and make sure that the profile at the leading edge of this quarter panel matched the door. And it does. So that's good news. Check the other side. Given all the damage to the quarter panel, I was surprised that it did. This door is obviously set much farther forward, but if I look at the profile all along here, there we go, it is pretty darn in line. So that being said, the next thing I'm checking is I'm trying to determine how the body line is fitting, and from pictures, and I'll share those, that I got from my close friend who's got a 64 and the body style is the same. It is a straight shot all along the door, anywhere along here, and especially thinking about this this crease, straight back. So there's some work that needs to be done, especially down in this area here where there is no crease anymore, and there should be. Up in here, we determined that we've got a high spot, and with some techniques that we saw on the internet, i.e. heating it till it's cherry red, tapping with a hammer and dolly the center of the high spot, and then quenching it with air, and then another session using water as a quicker quench. I think we dropped the height of that bulge down. It was probably up about 1/4 of an inch, and now we're down to about 1/8. So we still need to do more work. With all of this mess in here, there's a lot of low spots as well. So I bought a stud welder, and I will start out dealing with this crease in here to get myself some proficiency with the technique. But on this side, if you hold the straight edge up along there, it runs nice and true at the crease. You get up higher and it starts to go low in here, so there'll be some pulling out, and fixing that may take care of that. I think that is all on the ketchup. Oh yeah, Henry finished removing all the Bondo in this area. There's still some more dust to be made in removing that section there. With Jeff's help, we made up a pogo stick. Has another name, hustler stick, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, it allows us, when Jeff lifts this end up, it pulls on the the stud that's been welded onto the car, and we've already done these 3 here. While he's pulling up, I'm tapping top and bottom to make sure that the high spots go down when the crease goes in. We've still got some lower spots, but we're gonna just work back at this one here. And so he's gonna lift and I'm gonna hammer. Here's what we've accomplished on this side. Tried to pull the mess out here. We're felt pretty good about what we accomplished. We're down to a minimal amount of Bondo to fill in, we'll call them nooks and crannies. I'm going to get the MIG welder out and try to weld up these 2 big holes here. The smaller ones I'm not so concerned about. We've pulled out this dent here, and we've got a little bit of a divot through here, but maybe 1/8 of an inch. So to skim that with Bondo is not a big deal. We had a lot of oil canning in this area here, but by shrinking at these 4 places and pulling out where these were, the oil canning is gone, and yeah, my straight edge is on the other side, but I can show you. Yeah. So then we came back over here and we went and jacked behind the fender here, and we jacked up against the chassis and against the inside wheel well. Try to get this to sit more parallel with the body line. We're in a lot better shape than we were. Go ahead and lay the straight edge along the crease with the door jammed into its final position, and we're pretty good there. When I come up here and try to follow along with the door, it's definitely still very high here. So I need to shrink more metal than what Henry and I did the other night to get this to drop back down. So I'm going to try to find the highest point in this bump, and then get the torch out and the hammer and dolly, and then quench it. Jeff and I did some pulling in this area. We made some big differences down underneath the crease. We're trying to pull this crease back into shape. We had a stud there and a stud there, and we pulled this stud out. We were yanking on it so hard. So that's just going to have to be a Bondo creation. And I'm not sure how to deal with all of these. Unfortunately, I cannot get to the back side of all of these. So hopefully shrinking this will pull other things back in. And so first of all, we're going to try the shrinking now. So I tried pulling some out of here, and I tried shrinking more out of here, but there's still a high spot in this area, and it's still oil canning. So I guess we'll just put the straight edge up. And it's definitely high right there, and that is where it wants to oil can. But I've taken heated this up a lot. I guess I just need to keep going. Let's finish off getting paint off of these surfaces. This is mostly covered up, but I will have some, I believe, exposed metal in here. I don't really want to take these chrome strips off, but to do it right, I got to. Don't want to break anything. I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. I've got a little bit more paint in addition to around the trunk opening here and so forth. I need to start by finishing underneath there. most of it done along in here, to the point where, yeah, we wore out that wire wheel. So I'm going to attempt to see what kind of hammer and dolly work I can do back here. Up in here is kind of nasty, but I can get to the back side, so. And something else I'm gonna, still, I don't know if I should, I mean, that's nice and stiff, but that, I'm thinking needs to be shrunk. I'll find the center of it and torch it and hammer and dolly, because I can get to the back side, and then quench it. I'm going and get some water now. And I thought that was the center of the oil camera. I think it's a little further out. I'm going to go just to the right of that. Hammer, dolly, cold water in a bucket down there. And it's gone. Nice. Okay. So, I guess now it's time to go back to dealing with that rear panel. I got the hammer and dolly out. I laid up the panel. I love how in the British YouTube car working videos, of which I'm a big fan of many of, they say things like, and we present the trim panel against the body panel and see how it fits. And I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, this is all beat up, but honestly, I'm not sure even with a hammer and dolly work. I'll try to get it a little smoother. Remove this. And was able to bring this area back out flush. There was a big ding in here, and I was able to finesse it with a sledgehammer and a railroad tie. It's nice that the end of this is a little bit rounded, and I don't care about this end, but I was able to get it back in here, even though it's behind that trunk latch piece. And and pound that out. And this is pretty flush. That's not too bad. Looks like I'm a little high right here, actually. So I'll go ahead and take that down. This side, not bad. Not bad at all. One other thing I did was came down here and made sure this was all flat. It had some bent down points, and we like that to hold the weather stripping in place. So bent those straight. The rest of it's in really good shape, thankfully. So one part I forgot to do was that lower lip, or the downward facing lip of the fender. Did pretty well around here. Cleaned that up pretty well. Cleaned that trunk lid up nicely. I did finish the other side. Back in here is pretty well cleaned up on there. Yeah, I've got clean metal around there. I haven't. Okay, I have decided. I was going to say I haven't decided, but I have. I am not going to remove the black paint from there. It's in very good shape. I'll clean it, scuff it. Same thing here on the windshield surround. Although, alright. Like I said, clean it, scuff it, come back to that. I'd love to get the Bondo done and get this all e-coated before I roll it out for cleaning. Yeah, I do a lot of vacuuming. So we're getting there. I want to fill these holes before I put the Bondo on. I'm gonna get some good Bondo, not cheap Bondo. So I've gone and plugged all of these holes that were over here with weld. I didn't count them, but there's a lot. So I've got to get the grinder out and smooth them out, and then probably find some other little pinholes that I'll need to fill and grind that again. Wasn't a fan of how the welder was sounding. The previous setting, I had it set on B for voltage level and a little bit lower on feed speed, and it was burning through in some places. So I backed it down to power level A, kept the feed about the same, and a number of these just popped right out. So it was not getting hot enough. So bumped it back up to B and increased the speed, and that seemed to be the trick. I was getting the right kind of snapping sound, bee buzzing sound, whatever. So the welds were going on a lot better, and now we'll take the grinder back to them again and see how they fare. Well, it is a process between wire brushing to make sure the metal is clean, to welding, to the first, there it is, to the first set of grinding off there, and then finally the flapping disc to get it all flat. Here's where I'm at. So it's relatively smooth coming through here. That's in a divot, so it doesn't matter. That's in a divot up there. Yeah, we kind of ground through some, so there's a few more that we'll need to go back here and hit with the welder again. For the most part, we've plugged the holes and smoothed out some of the the higher spots. But like I said, I'm going back with the welder one more time, hopefully, just one more. It's still a mess in here. I'm going to go with this for the time being and put the filler on and see how it smooths out.